The PlayStation Store is running its Black Friday sale right now, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 awesome deals on PlayStation 4 games under $10. Now, outside of the Black Friday deal, there are actually a couple of other hidden deals, and I threw those games in a mention as well because there aren't a lot of games under $10, but what I have here are very, very good deals. So, with some of these games, if you can't find them directly under the Black Friday deals, just search on the PlayStation Store and you should find them for the price that I mentioned. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with a great PlayStation exclusive, and that is The Last of Us Remastered, and it is down to just $5.99. Yes, Last of Us at this point is a little bit older of a game. It released over 5 years ago and originally released on the PlayStation 3. This version is the definitive version running on the PlayStation 4. It looks great, and of course it does include the Left Behind DLC as well. If at this point I need to sell you on The Last of Us, I don't know where you've been living. You must have been living under a rock because it's pretty well known how amazing of a game The Last of Us is. While I've loved all of Naughty Dog's games, I would say that The Last of Us is either their best game or their second best game, going back and forth with Uncharted 4. It's a tremendous game, and if you own a PlayStation 4 and you didn't own a PS3 and you never checked out The Last of Us Remastered is a great buy, especially at just $5.99. Moving on from that, this might be a little bit more of a controversial mention, but I thought this was a great deal, and that's Star Wars Battlefront 2 for $9.89. Now, yes, Star Wars Battlefront 2 was an absolute train wreck leading up to its launch. I've never seen a game promoted as poorly as Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it's incredible to me how EA just had a game franchise handed to them that was guaranteed to be a success, and they've kind of blundered it. You saw it with the commercial reception to Star Wars Battlefront 2. However, now at this point, the game has gotten better. The issue with microtransactions has been remedied, and considering the fact that the game's available for $9.89, if you're into Star Wars, Battlefront 2 is not a bad game. There's some multiplayer fun to be had, and at this cheap of a price, if you've been on the fence for a while, if all the negativity turns you off, go back and give Battlefront 2 a look. At $9.89, it's worth it. Next up, we have Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition for $7.49. Hollow Knight was one of the best received games on PC. It finally made its way over to the PlayStation 4 with the Voidheart Edition, and there's a lot of great side-scrolling action adventure fun to be had, and on top of the base game, this Voidheart Edition includes 4 content packs. The game itself is a classic side-scrolling action game with some modern elements, and it's very, very stylish in presentation. And along with that great presentation, you have some great music as well, and at $7.49, I would give Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition a look, especially if you like side-scrolling action titles. Moving on from that, a deal that's been readily available at this point, but I still think is fantastic, is Burnout Paradise Remastered for $8.99. Burnout Paradise Remastered saw its release earlier this year, originally priced at $39.99. Now, just 7 months later, it is down to less than a quarter of that initial price at $9, and it is a fantastic open world racing game, considering that over on PlayStation we don't have a lot of open world racing options. Unfortunately, Forza Horizon is exclusive to Xbox. However, Burnout Paradise is a great title that, yes, hasn't aged the best. This was released over 10 years ago, so that's something you have to be mindful of. Some of the mechanics are a bit dated. However, if we're talking about the overall fun factor, Burnout Paradise has that in spades, and $9 for the remastered edition is a good buy. Next up, we have Battlefield 1 for $3.99. Now, I know we're coming up on the release of Battlefield 5. However, Battlefield 5 is going to enjoy a hefty $59.99 price point. If you just want a quality Battlefield experience, Battlefield 1 for just $4 is an insane buy, especially if you did take advantage and got all of the DLC that EA's been giving out for free. For whatever reason, if you didn't pick up the game at this point, $4 for it is a great buy, especially considering the fact that even if you go into Battlefield 1 just wanting to enjoy a solid single-player campaign, Battlefield 1 definitely has that. Now, if you're going in just wanting a single-player campaign, I could understand why a $60 price tag might scare you away, but now at $4, paying $4 for an enjoyable 6-hour campaign isn't a bad price at all, and Battlefield 1 obviously has an excellent multiplayer component as well, and I fully expect the longevity of the game to be there, as a lot of people have just decided to stick around with Battlefield 1, and a lot of people have recently picked up the game because it's been available for so cheap. The DLC's being given out. Now is a great time to get into Battlefield 1, especially at just $4. Next up, we have Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which is down to $4.79. Now, I do have to say, I was so looking forward to Deus Ex Mankind Divided ahead of its release. I was a big fan of Deus Ex Human Revolution. That was released on the PlayStation 3. Mankind Divided is the follow-up, and I do have to say, I don't think the game is quite as good as Human Revolution, and it really falls on because of its storytelling. I don't think the story is as good as Human Revolution. However, gameplay-wise, it does have more depth, so it's got that going on for it. I can understand why gamers would have been disappointed with Mankind Divided at $59.99. Now that it's available for under $5, I would still say it's a solid action RPG that's worth a buy, especially if you did play Human Revolution and you have yet to check out Mankind Divided. I would still say give it a look, and at this price, it's great. I know a lot of you guys did get this as a PlayStation Plus title because it was available as a freebie a couple months ago, but if you did not, now's a good time to pick it up at this low of a price. Next up, we have Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition for $4.79. This is a game that I always like to recommend because it's such an underrated hidden gem. Sleeping Dogs was released on last generation consoles back in, I believe, 2012. A lot of people called it GTA in Hong Kong, and it's so much more than that. It's not even really like GTA. Yes, it's an open world game where you can drive around, but it has more of an emphasis on its story. The hand-to-hand combat is very well fleshed out. I would compare it to something like Batman Arkham, and Batman Arkham has great combat. But on top of that, Sleeping Dogs has a very engaging main character. The Definitive Edition looks great on the PS4, and it includes a lot of additional content, now at $4.79. This is a game I would have recommended at the full $59.99 price point, but now this cheap? If you've yet to check out Sleeping Dogs, I can't say enough good things about it. At this point, I doubt we're ever gonna see a sequel, but go back and check out this title. It is so good. Next up, we have Tomb Raider the Definitive Edition, which is down to $5.99. Of course, Tomb Raider does have a little bit of hype surrounding it right now because we just came off the release of Shadow of the Tomb Raider a couple months ago. Unfortunately, it looks like that game didn't do all too well from a commercial standpoint. However, it was a very good game, although I would recommend you to get started with the very first Tomb Raider game, and you can do so with Tomb Raider the Definitive Edition, available for just $6. This title was released all the way back in early 2013 on the PlayStation 3, and I would say with the original version released on the PS3, it did leave a little bit to be desired, at least from a technical perspective. Of course, those handcuffs are completely removed with the Definitive Edition. This version looks great, it plays great, and if you're a fan of the Uncharted titles, Tomb Raider has often been compared to those games, so of course it's gonna be up your alley in that regard as well, and $6 for the title, not bad at all. Next up, we have a pretty early PlayStation 4 title in Wolfenstein The New Order. It's available for $9.99, which I would still say is a little bit steep. I know that's me being a penny pincher, but at this point, this game is like 4 years old. Would have loved if it saw a $4.99 price point. However, it is a very good single-player first-person shooter. Yes, it's single-player only, but don't get it twisted. This isn't a single-player campaign like a Call of Duty or even a Battlefield. I was very high on the Battlefield 1 campaign, but when you have a game designed strictly for single-player and it's a first-person shooter, it's just gonna offer a better campaign, and that's what you see out of Wolfenstein The New Order. Of course, we did get a follow-up title in Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus. That game is also on sale. I believe it's going for $20, worth a buy as well, but if you just want to get into the series, I would start off with The New Order, and available for $9.99. Again, still a little bit steep, but given that you are getting a solid 12-hour campaign out of it, I would say it's worth a buy. And lastly, we have Just Cause 3, which is available for $5.99. Now, Just Cause 3 was a game that when it was initially released, I had some very negative things to say about it. Unfortunately, from a technical standpoint, this game was an absolute mess. Since its release back in 2015, it has gotten better. However, it is not perfect, but also now all these years later, you're not paying a full $59.99 for the game, so it doesn't sting as bad. What you get from the fundamentals is that it's still a solid open world action-adventure game. There's a lot of chaotic fun to be had. Don't take the story all too seriously. If you want a fun, hectic open world to get into, Just Cause 3 will have you covered. We are coming up on the release of Just Cause 4. Hopefully with that game, they get it right from a technical sense, because that is the issue that really held Just Cause 3 back. Overall, the game still offers a lot of fun, but just be mindful of that issue going in, and you might be experiencing some low frame rates. However, at $5.99 again, if you want a chaotic, fun open world to get invested into, Just Cause 3 isn't a bad pickup. And that's gonna conclude this video. All of these games are under $10 as a part of the Black Friday sale, and again, some of them are a little bit hidden. So if you don't see a couple of these titles, like I believe Burnout Paradise Remastered isn't listed under the Black Friday sale, just search for it and you'll find it. And if you guys want us to cover the Black Friday sale even more, let us know in the comments section down below and sound off with all of your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.